Carey the other day, and she was they were shooting something on some building somewhere, like in Boston, some finance company, or whatever, and they had. She was like, yeah, they got 2 floors of this building. The budget is $1.5 million.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And Boston Art has it, of course.
Yeah.
And they went and they hired someone to do these terrible abstracts.
Yeah.
Which they're
you're
probably paying like $50,000 for each one of these things, and the artist is probably getting like 3.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't bring that up.
Yeah.
But
we can talk more about that off camera.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about it. But it's the whole thing. It's just the amount of building going on in Boston is insane. But I do sell work to. I sell 2 pieces a year to Boston Art. So.
I wonder about that too, and we can dance around it. But I have some thoughts on that and some things I've heard, and maybe you have some insight on, or you good to start rolling? If just give me a stare if it looks like we're going somewhere in the wrong direction or something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I should.
Or just put down the water. Just take a big sip of water or something, and I'll know that we're
in terms.
in
terms of the corporate stuff, no, it's like getting your work, and it's all positive. It's like getting your work in front of.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
if you just feel like it's going in the wrong direction, just give me a look and take a sip of water, and I'll know that we're trending in the wrong direction. If there's something that starts to feel uncomfortable.
So. Everything looks good. This is the same way we had it last time.
Yep.
So I don't know why the audio didn't record last time. So we're gonna.
Yeah, you want to just give us you know if it's going right.
So
okay.
Hopefully we don't run into that same thing.
Sounds good.
Let's. You guys are ready?
All right, Mike Sleeper back in.
Let's get a good clean one again.
Okay. All right, Mike Sleeper back in for episode 53. You were guest number 3, so 50 episodes later.
50 episodes later.
Yeah.
Back to the bullpen.
Yeah, we got the podcast has come a little ways. I think I've gotten a little bit better. We got a fancy desk now. We're giving away mugs to our guests.
Excellent.
From Beth Bailey.
All righty.
And and some things haven't changed. We still got some of your images. I'm always a big fan of your work, and I'm excited that we have these small images still available on our website, and I know that they'll probably be available on yours at some point. Or
no, I'm keeping the small images with you.
Okay.
And,
but you have been doing some work on the website? I
have been doing that. The website has been totally rebuilt, and with a huge amount of added content and then added functionality, and I've hooked up with a new guy who's fantastic.
Yep,
Ryan Holbrook.
Yep.
Native Gains.
Yep.
And it's really astounding, and how fast he was able to pump this thing out was really incredible. Mm-hmm. And he needed very, very little guidance from me. So
no, Ryan's a pro. He's part of our team here as well. So I'm glad it's working out with you guys. Yeah,
and there's a great symbiosis too with so I've it's set up so you actually build a picture on the site.
Yep.
And there's frame choices, which is and of course all the frames come from here.
Yeah.
So and there's also a feature where you can upload a photograph of your wall, and I can drop any framed photograph you want into it with a frame choice, and it literally takes minutes. It's incredible. These new systems. So I've had people. I've been sitting at dinner, and someone has sent me a message I'm dealing with. Oh, he's a picture of my wall, and I email him back in 3 minutes with a sized photograph on the wall.
Yeah, that's a nice feature I've seen in some websites. So, hopefully you have the test case, and we'll have that at some point on our website as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice for people to be able to visualize space, because I think a lot of times people have trouble conceptualizing what size print, and I know you offer different size prints, is going to actually fit into a space.
It's really powerful. Most of my customers, I actually bring work to their house to hold it up. About half the time they come to the gallery first and look at work. The other half the time they they either know me or they say, hey, can you bring your portfolio to my house?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go over with, a couple hundred prints in folders, and I will hold up different size prints on the wall, and then they get a true feeling for, for size,
Yeah.
for the scale. And then also I bring the frame samples as well, which
Yeah.
is, and so we can even get even a step further before I get to their place with this.
Yeah, really
Yep.
get that size. Yeah, I think people sometimes, either, price is an issue and they decide that they don't want to, oh, can I get the less expensive one? And then you hold it up on the wall and it kind of gets lost.
Yes.
And then sometimes I think people also run into this problem where they're trying to maximize this, just fill stuff on the wall too much, and not having that negative space that kind of
Exactly,
sets
yeah.
the piece off. It looks too crowded. So, being able to figure out the right size that works, I think, is important.
I've hung a lot of pictures now, and
Yeah.
you get into places, and I'll give them advice on mat width and all that sort of thing. If
Yeah.
if we've got a small space that is over a mantle where it's compressed, where the ceiling's a little bit lower, for instance, or the mantle's a little bit higher, and of course, my work, a lot of my panoramic work really fits in well with mantles and overhead boards and over credenzas, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
because it's a rectangular space.
Yeah.
And then we get in there and you can really size it out and shrink the mat, which you've noticed I've been doing a lot
Yeah.
lately.
Yeah, a little bit more custom,
Yep.
customization, breaking away. The formula is still somewhat the same.
The formula's still in there, and so, but it's and and the collaborative part of it is a lot of fun with the customers as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that not that selling that finished product that you sell, have done for a long time on
Right.
the South Shore, is nice, but they probably do feel a little bit more involved if they're saying, oh, a little bit more matte, a little bit bigger image. And,
Yes, absolutely.
that customization part kind of, I'm sure, makes it more of their, like a collaboration, like you said.
And and it's interesting with customers as well. I've seen a significant uptick in people who are much more interested in talking about the mat width, even before we're talking about what space it's going to go into.
Yep.
In my standard sizes, and then frame widths, and they're asking for different tonal frames that I have had before.
Yep.
So it seems like it's a much better educated customer, which is really interesting. And of course, I'm assuming it's there's just so many resources on the internet now of
Yeah.
people looking at decor and interiors. Particularly, I'm talking about homeowners
Yep.
specifically, and they're much more involved, which I really enjoy that aspect of it. The
Yep.
fact that people are, instead of me sort of
Yeah,
being
just looking
yeah.
for you to be the authority and be like, this is how I frame. Yeah.
Yes, and they're a lot happier when after I walk out the door. So.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be a shame for people to be like, oh, I don't want to buy that photograph because it only has the two options, right?
Right. and there's always not a significant, but there's always a number of people that with this just doesn't the photograph doesn't work.
Yep.
And they really hoped it would, and because as I'm a zero pressure guy.
Yep.
And I enjoy the collaboration, and I go to really nice houses, and I get to look at interiors that I get really excited about being.
Yeah.
So it's a fun process to me whether they hang my work in their house or not.
Yeah, well, I think
And,
it's fun getting into people's houses and seeing what the styles are. I think it makes
Yes.
you more educated on that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've done a
And,
bit of installations. Obviously, I've helped you with a few, and installations with other designers. And there's a certain clientele that I'm not opposed to making house visits to if I can fit it
Right.
into my schedule. And it does help. Having pictures of where someone's space is like, knowing all of the variables when you're trying to pick something out is super
Right, yeah.
helpful.
And the other thing is a lot of times with people, I've had a number of people who have opted not to run with it, have called me back a year later, 2 years later, and said, "Hey, we painted the house. I think it's
Yep.
going to work now," and then it does.
Yep.
Which is fun. And the other thing that I I really don't talk about much, which I will be talking about more, is so I've got my standard size photographs, which I was known for years and years and years.
The panoramics, right?
Yeah. The standard size panoramic, which they measure out to like 40 inches wide or something.
19 and a quarter by 40 inside.
19 and a quarter by 40.
That's
and,
that's what the mat.
That's what the mat is.
Yeah.
And and people will contact me and say, geez, it's lost on the wall now.
Yep.
And they'll, they want to do a bigger version. So if someone comes to me with a standard photograph that they've bought from me, I'll get them full current. I give them full current trade-in value to a bigger piece. So if you had a piece that was 40 inches wide, and next thing you know, you want some 64-inch piece going over your mantle or your headboard or something.
So you're offering an upgrade.
Upgrade, and they may pay $300 for something 10 years ago, and the current value now is $750 or whatever. I'll take $750 right off the top of the new piece. So
nice.
And
new image or same image? No, whatever.
Doesn't matter. New image or it's the size increase is what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like a trade-in.
But virtually every time I do it, someone wants to stay with the same image.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm sure that a lot of those people get attached to those images. I mean, I think a lot. You have a number of pretty iconic shots here on the South Shore. Yeah. Is there? How big is the catalog of images that's going on the website?
Well, there's about a dozen new images or something like that,
Yep.
and a significant amount from Italy.
Yeah.
Italy and France. And
is that recent travel, or is that?
Yes, over the last 3 years. Did 2 trips to Italy, 1 trip to Paris, and I'm going to Scotland in November, and I've got no idea how I'm going to approach that. It's
Is that a first? I know the Italy stuff. You go back to the same space, like
similar, mostly Tuscany.
Yeah.
And well, actually, the first trip was all the way from Amalfi to Venice, so almost about 2/3 the length of the country, and coastal and interior. And then the second trip was just Tuscany, and Italy's astounding, and because all these places are just everything you're shooting is iconic, and every direction you turn in, it's really astounding. So I have to really watch what my film consumption is.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I was there last, the first trip, I actually found film in Venice, and was able to buy film in Venice, and it was film that they don't sell in the United States anymore, which was interesting.
Was that an interesting experience trying to find film in a foreign country?
Yes, and I didn't look for it, and
you just got
I'm down.
upon it?
I got 3 days left, and I'm down to 4 rolls of film. So I start doing 1 exposure per setup, because usually I do like 2 rolls per setup, and I burn through 30 rolls of film or something, and we're walking down the street, and all of a sudden I see this this like 1970s Kodak sign, because there's all this.
Did you get a picture of that?
I did not. I wish I had. But every place over there was like is in Venice is like that. There were a number of photography stores.
Really?
With this old signage, and because everything in Italy's old.
Yeah.
In a really good way, and and I was able to buy film, and so.
That's cool. Yeah. No, when you go back, you'll get some pictures of that. I think.
Yeah, I will. I will be back.
Even if it's
Venice.
with the phone, just for a social media post, I think that would be cool. Yeah. Do you find that your clients are looking for more of the local shots, or is this just like a way to expand your portfolio with the travel stuff?
Originally, it was a way to expand, and however, I'm not specifically going in there to shoot, but of course wherever I go, I bring my cameras.
Yeah.
And but I know there's so much subject matter over there. It's like, okay, I really got to sort building up this portfolio, because we've got everyone is going to Italy now. It's really astounding, and I can name 10 people from my neighborhood who went.
Really?
And which is really, really cool. And so there's been sort of an organic sort of people have been asking for it, and I've got a lot of detail work. I've
Yeah.
got, you know, broad landscapes and stuff, but you know, you just everywhere you turn the camera in Italy, it's you know, it's really incredible. And Paris too. It's, you know, it's so easy to take photographs over
Yeah.
there, and the light's different.
Are you going for some of those iconic shots of, you know, things when you're in Paris, or are you just trying to find, you know, what's the mindset when you start looking for a photograph over there?
The mindset for me for I'm going to the iconic places.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is I'm trying to find details in it.
Yeah.
So Italy was different. Italy is just, you know, it's easy to, you know, just take a picture of, you know, the Rialto Bridge and that sort of thing,
Yep.
the you know, the Trevi Fountain. But Paris, it's, you know, every last inch of Paris has like this architectural story to it, and there's all this Art Deco as well. And I wanted to try and bring that out when I was there. And so I had some things pre-visioned in my mind. What I really wanted to get was a photograph of one of the metropolitan signs, the subway signs. And I found one in particular that I thought was really, really fascinating, and I shot that. So that was in my mind before I went.
Yep.
And but I didn't, you know, I did one of the Eiffel Tower. I did a vertical
Yep.
image of the Eiffel Tower just for the fun of it, which
Yep.
is, you know, it's which is kind of a fun photograph.
Well, I think that's, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's weird, right? That probably hits home with certain people too. But
Right, yeah.
you know, I mean, how can you not if it's right there?
Well, yeah, and so there's certain things. It's just like, okay, I'm here, I'm shooting this.
Yeah.
You know, and but it's but you know, it's so, as I said, it's so easy to take photographs, you know, in any of these places. We were in London last year, 2 years ago, and I couldn't, you know, I didn't bring my cameras. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know when I'm going to shoot there, and I got over there and I saw it. I mean, the place is amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything I could shoot.
Really?
No, and because there's so much new mixed in with the old, and then after I got back, I realized, you know, I could have brought my square format camera and did sort of what I did in Paris and try and do square images of more detailed things like
Yep.
that.
Is that because you're closer up, or you just, you know?
A lot of it is you're closer up,
Yeah.
and in London, and London is just so bustling, and a lot of these, you know, there's some really iconic things, but a lot of, you know, obviously like Big Ben and that sort of thing,
Yep.
and some views of the Thames. But you know, there's a view of the Thames, and there's the whatever the name of the big Ferris wheel is on
Yep.
it, and it's just, you know, you start seeing other people's work, and they're there in the middle of the season, amazing sunset, and the thing's lit up, and that's not the way I shoot.
Yeah, I feel like when I look at your photographs, there's almost like a stillness of a lot of them. You know, there's not usually a ton of people in the work, right?
Yeah, I try and shoot it in such a way that the people come out of it,
Yeah.
and sometimes they're in there,
Yeah.
and which is really difficult to do. And
Well, if there's a lot of people walking by, it's probably
well,
tough to
especially in
take a
Italy in
picture.
the summer,
Yeah.
right? And then even Italy in the fall. And one of the things that was amazing about Italy this last trip was being there in November as opposed to being there in June. And where we were in June, vast amounts of Tuscany are, because it's such an arid climate, it was just tones of gray, tan and brown.
Yep.
And so I was forced to try and do more, you know, Hilltown stuff, interiors like this.
Yep.
This photograph is Montepulciano. I try to shoot more things like this photograph here. And
Is this a bustling area, or is this?
yes,
It's
yeah, and so there's a stream of people walking behind. So that's actually an alley.
Yep.
And but it which it just sort of shows how the architecture runs there. You know, they just shoehorn these things in there. You know,
How'd you get the people to leave you alone?
it stood there and waited while everyone else waited for me, but everyone's used to it.
Go get a coffee. And,
Yeah, go get a coffee.
I'm going to
or,
stand here until the light's right and
go get another Aperol and
ask no people to walk down the street.
and I've never gone that far.
Yeah.
And I could, but I would not feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And I did a photograph of the Guinness at St. James Gate at the Guinness factory.
Yep.
And
I think I saw that one.
and there's a video of me shooting it, and I got it all set up and standing there, and people wander by, and as soon as they're out of the frame, I can see the other people at the corner of my eye coming, so it's like click.
Yeah.
Just before the next person enters the frame.
Yep.
But yeah, so anyway, so I did that Metropolitan photograph in Paris, and I always go back to Luxembourg Gardens, and I shot some there. Then I wanted to get some architectural details, and
Yeah. Well, you've told me that you see something, and I mean, I know, localized. I'm sure it's a lot easier,
Right.
Because you can get back there pretty regularly. But
Yes.
you're kind of making notes of light and.
just in fact, yesterday I did this photograph, and I can't remember the name of the stop it was. It was in the Marais section of the city. I can't remember the name of and I would butcher the pronunciation on it. But just yesterday I saw a photograph on the left bank of the Metropolitan sign for Saint Michel, which I walked by.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I gotta, so I screenshot it. And it's like, so when I'm back in Paris, which I will be in the next year or two,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go right back there and shoot that one as well, because it was iconic.
Yeah.
The first one I shot, I think, is really fascinating. It's a very unique sign,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're absolutely beautiful. And these Art Deco signs.
Once you start framing them, that's when
Yes,
I'm gonna get familiar with
when
them.
you see them. Yeah, but no,
Or you get them on the website and you want to share. Yeah.
And so every time I go to one of these places, I've got in the back of my head where I'm going to go back, because I see things, and it's like, okay, I'm going to shoot this next time, and it's going to be, it's going to be this time of year,
Yep.
and whatnot. But then, so we went back, and I'll just wrap this up quickly with Italy. So then we went back in November, and it was a huge amount of tonal range. There were greens, and really a lot more. Lot greater gradation and tonality, and which I was able to capture, which I was really excited about.
Is that something or like you've researched somewhere, or is that just from experience of like time of year and areas?
I know it from here.
Yeah.
And in fact, I know there's certain there's eye of seasons to photograph the marsh.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, if I'm doing any photographs of the marsh, I do it in June, and June and into July, and then, but I see a change in the tone of green in August, and then, and it's not like I won't shoot.
Yeah.
But then I know what I want to get in terms of tones.
Yeah.
And but I get over to Italy, I'm just figuring that out, because it never occurred to me that everywhere I went Tuscany was just going to be tan and brown.
Yeah.
Because I'd seen all these images of Italy, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to go there and try this and go here and try that. And then I get over there, it's like, wow, it's like I'm not getting any of the things I want. I just totally shifted over to other stuff, which I was really happy about.
Yeah.
And then when we went back in November, I saw, okay, now these are the tones I want. So I think the next trip to Italy will be in like April or something like that.
Yep.
And that'll be totally different as well.
Yep. So are you writing this stuff down and keeping like
No, it's all
notes,
in my
or
head.
just all in the head?
And, well, I'm taking hundreds and hundreds or thousands of iPhone pictures.
Yeah.
Just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And
So you can review those.
I'll go
before
back
have
and
an
look at them
understanding.
and think about. So I actually went and tried to reshoot this image this time around, and because we were right back in Montepulciano.
Yeah.
And I got the photograph of outside Montepulciano, which I wanted to get before the first trip. And then got over there this time and said, oh, I want to reshoot that, and got over there, and it was November. The sun was in a totally different place, and it was really dim, so the shot wasn't there, and because the sun literally didn't hit. And
Will you change the format on that too? Do you have something in mind for that as
No,
well?
I was going to try and redo the same thing with my Hasselblad, with my big camera, and because there's a limitation on how big I can go on that, and so I shot it anyway, and it's interesting.
Yep.
But it's a lot more moody, which
Yep.
is, if you can imagine, something moodier than that. But
Yeah, it might be nice. I
Yeah.
mean, you've told me before the Fred Rogers boat one that I had. You thought that was a happy mistake, right? You said
that was a happy mistake.
You
yeah.
thought that you envisioned day one being the better, and was it day two?
Day one was a totally overcast day, and was right at the end of the day, and it was really dim light. It's like, I got to shoot this. And thinking the weather was going to be the same, and I said, I can't not shoot this.
Yeah.
So I shot it, and then the next day the clouds started to break. So I got my optimum sky that I wanted, and so I shot it the next day as well. And then the light was a lot better, but it just was not the same photograph as the dim light one. The dim light one had a real Wyeth look to
100%.
it, and that's what everyone says. That looks like, that's a Wyeth palette.
Yep.
And at least say, well, it's a Wyeth composition too, right? But well, I do have a structure in it, which is rare for me when I shoot coastal things to have. There's a cottage in it.
Yeah, it's in the house. I see that every day when I walk past. So.
And yeah, so that was and that's the lesson to take away from that is while you're there.
Yep.
Don't say, oh, geez, I'm gonna come back when the weather's better.
Yeah, you got to at least shoot something.
Just shoot it and see what happens. And but yes,
is that ever a concern? I mean, you look at every photograph and make a distinction. If you like it or not, or want to share it, do you ever get concerned that there's all these images that other people haven't seen or been able to offer you an opinion on?
Well, yeah, sometimes. And I review. I mean, I pull out every once in a while. I'll pull out something out of my files that I literally shot 20 years ago and had forgotten about.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I'm looking at it, and it's just okay. That'll make a good print.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of photographs in my portfolio that are new, and they're 20 years old. And
new to the portfolio.
New to the portfolio. And then I have. But then I've got all these variations on these images that I'll look at and say, geez, maybe I should print that. It's really a totally different looking photograph, even though all it was is a matter of 5 minutes difference while I was shooting it. And but I generally don't. And
do you have a lot of people, that you think would, when you go to somebody's house? I mean, are images coming to mind that would work in the homes and that you can offer suggestions to, or is it usually
yes, there
want a
are,
certain look?
But a lot of times the homeowner is looking for, the first and foremost is sort of location for them.
Yep.
They've been to Italy, they've been to Tuscany, they have a place in the Cape, or it's the Powder Point Bridge or something like that.
Yep.
And I have variations in the Powder Point Bridge. I've got 3 different Powder Point Bridge images, and and then at that point, we'll talk about the 3 different Powder Point images.
Yep.
One of them's got that. It's got that June
After
marsh
the
in
gale.
it. Well, and then there's the After the Gale one,
Yeah.
which I shot in July, which is a really dramatic image.
Yep.
And making a judgment call on the wall on that in terms of where it's going to be hung and that. But but then I do have a certain amount of customers that say, well, I just want anything of Italy, but I want to choose it by the tones.
Yeah.
Which is fun, because then it really gets into talking about the wall color and and the trim and what are we going to do with the frame.
Yep.
And
make it work.
Make it work.
So are you working on anything localized, or I thought I saw some shots in Scituate recently.
I did. I just did a photograph in Scituate, and the film is finished, and I haven't seen it. I've seen scans of it, but the film was processed in somewhere in California. I can't remember. I shipped it out, and that is just this morning. I got an email showing me the scans of it, which means it's probably in the mail yesterday. So I'll get to see the I'll get to see that, and that was a preordained image as well. I sort of had that in the back of my mind that I wanted to do this, and and then things came together on it, and it's right over of Scituate Harbor, is right around the corner.
Yep.
And so I am absolutely still doing, and I will always do local work.
Yep.
You know, and
I mean, you've been on the South Shore for so long. I assume you know the areas, or are you still discovering new things?
I'm still discovering new things, and there's still, I'm just discovering new things all the time.
Really?
And I still have a backlog in my head of, you know, I should go back there and do this, go back there and do that, and you know, it's probably about 20 different images that are in the back of my mind that I want to do. But I did a photograph of mine at beach with mine at rock in the background 2 years ago, and I discovered, embarrassingly, had only discovered mine at rock. I think I'd seen it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I just rediscovered it, and you know, I was hanging a couple of pieces in a house over there, and drove around the corner, saw mine at rock, and it took me 2 years to figure out how I wanted to shoot it, and then I did, which seems pretty straightforward. It's just like, that's mine at rock, it doesn't move, right? And it's just water. And but it wasn't sort of figuring out how I wanted to shoot it. It was well, partly it's just like, you know, time of day, the direction of the light, and I wanted to get the clouds right, which I did. Yeah. And so I am continually discovering new things. So.
Yeah. Well, I think of some of your work is like, you know, it feels like paintings, and you know, I think that the time and like the thought that goes into it kind of, it's a, you know, it's not just you show up with a camera, take a picture, and it's done, right? It's, you know, what from conception to finishing the actual photograph and starting to print it. I mean, I feel like a lot of these are years in the works, or.
Well, between concept, yes, and then actually shooting, because sometimes I'll go someplace like that mine at rock image. I went and shot that 3 times, and you know, and with multiple lenses each time. Yeah. And then, but you know, I only did like, you know, 1 roll of film. But a roll of film for me is only 4 exposures. I only get 4 images per roll of film because of the panoramic format. And it's just like, this just isn't right. And then, so then I was able to nail down, you know, my vantage point and the lens, and then I just had to wait for, and I had figured out, you know, the time of day and what sort of sky it really needed, because mine at light is in the background, and I needed that to separate from the horizon. So I wanted to have some sort of cloud formation behind mine at light, so it didn't just sort of disappear. And
tide a factor also.
It absolutely ties a factor. And the other thing is, you know, they get a lot of seaweed there, and I went to show up one time, and things, everything was right, and the beach was covered with seaweed, and it was interesting. But you know, people who want a photograph of mine at light because they walk there, and mine at beach, you know, it's that beautiful gray sand. Yeah. And so that's in their mind, they're looking at it. She says, "Wouldn't it be nice? I love walking. Wouldn't it be nice if I was on all that seaweed? Because I don't walk through that stuff." And and then, you know, so, and then once I actually shoot it and I know I've got it, you know, then it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the film to get processed now. It used to be 3 hours. Yeah. When there were 4 labs in Boston doing it, and now there's 1 lab, and they send it out for one of the films I use, and then the other film I use, I just send it out directly.
You know, there's no fear that that's going to go away at some point.
Not really.
There'll always be someone developing it.
I think though, yeah. I think as long as I'm going to be taking photographs, and but you know, I don't think I'll ever be able to do the panoramics digitally, but I'll be able to do the square format. You know, in fact, there's a camera I want to start experimenting with, which would give me the quality that I want.
Yeah. Is this a digital camera? Or
it's a digital Hasselblad camera. Yeah. But it's interesting because the digital part of it, Hasselblads have a film cartridge. So you take you can take the cartridge off the camera to reload it, or you can pull the guts out of it, load the guts, stick it back in, and lock it in, and continue to shoot, or you can take the whole thing off. And Hasselblad has now made a digital camera, and the back is removable, and that's where the sensor is.
Yeah.
And as of now, you have to buy the whole thing with a lens, which is it's exorbitantly expensive. But the digital back fits on the exact same way as my current film back, and so I can use all my existing lenses and my existing camera. So I will be using a 1963 camera.
Yeah.
Which that's how old the camera is. It's older than me.
Yeah.
A 1963 camera with the digital back on it, and the quality really is phenomenal.
So it's kind of like a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. So I've got this clunky old chrome, black and chrome thing.
Yeah.
And on the front.
Yeah.
And then in the back, I'll have this, this sleek little black, add-on.
Yeah. So it's kind of a unique piece of equipment then.
Yeah, it'll be a unique piece of equipment, and they're not selling them separately. But I'm going to see about renting to test it. And but I've got all these lenses, and the lenses are astounding.
Yeah.
And they're not making the lenses any better. Lenses going into the back all the way in the 60s. The lenses, the glass quality, that has not changed. So.
Now, do you have a lot of contemporaries or people that you talk with as regularly about photography? Or
to tell you the truth, no one.
No. Yeah.
No. I just kind of do my thing.
Yeah.
What I do is so arcane.
Yeah.
I talk to people constantly about subject matter. I talk to people constantly about different markets. I talk to people, interior designers, quite a bit about trends and that sort of thing, and trying to nail down what kind of work people want.
Yep.
And different markets, and trying to find interior designers who, we have all these contemporary homes now with these massive walls, like the place that you and I hung all that work in Duxbury, and you've got these incredible walls, these vast expanses.
Yeah, I feel like they're either giant walls or giant windows.
Giant walls and giant windows, but and trying to find artwork that makes sense to people, that they don't have to have a consultant tell them, oh, you want this because of the color. Some sort of abstract piece, which I have some in my house. Yeah. And including a piece from Dina, which we just got. But so there's a trend towards bigger and bigger pieces, and of course photography is a lot more economical than than big giant custom pieces and that sort of thing. And people relate to it because it's, again, generally it's a place that they know, and so they can bring the summer indoors, I like to say. Yep. And see it all year long.
So big walls in people's homes. I assume that some of the corporate stuff you're doing these days is also like bigger walls or bigger pieces.
Yes, and that's the thing with the corporate artwork. And it's interesting with corporate artwork is there's different varieties. For instance, I did a financial planner's offices in Norwell a couple of years ago, and so this is a guy who started a business. He and his partner started a business. There's 3 or 4 offices and a greeting area where people come in, and so he himself. He sourced the space, started the business, and then of course they had to get all the furniture and furnish it and everything. But then they had to start looking at what are we going to do with the walls. Yep. And he contacted me because he'd seen me on social media, and I'd gone up and we hung a bunch of artwork. Yep. And which the customers appreciate it. They walk through the door. Yep. And it's.
Well, money spent on artwork, I think when you walk into any business, it feels like they're established or that they're serious about something, right?
Well, it sets the tone for the space.
Yep.
And people can go into a space and see. Remember those old posters? It was like perseverance and some.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to walk into a financial planner's office and have it not feel rich in some sort of way. And if it's posters or something like that, you're going to be like, oh, does this guy know what he's doing, or is he just out of college?
And most of the work there was South Shore work. Yep. And so you walk through the space, and it was a couple of large pieces, a couple of small pieces, but so that greets the customers. Yep. And then and it's familiar to them.
Yeah.
And then the employees as well. The employees aren't looking at places where the public isn't marching in and out all the time.
Yep.
Or the customers aren't. Now the employees are walking by places that they know and like. Here's a picture of the North River.
Yep.
The picture from the Minot or whatever, that sort of thing. So I like to think it brightens their day, because
Yep.
that's when I had offices. I hung my own work in there.
Yeah.
And when I was working in different industries, but I liked it's.
Yeah, what you surround yourself with is important to how you're going to feel, right?
And then you get on to the bigger corporate work, like in Boston, and I've got some places where I've got a dozen 90 by 30 inch pieces hanging up, really big giant pieces.
Are you going to put some of these installation shots onto the website?
Yeah,
too?
so they're not there now, and I'm going to do a whole separate section for corporate.
Just to give people idea. I mean, I think you're like giving people some ideas of what how your work looks in an office,
right,
or how
yep.
might be helpful or inspiring. Yes. Also establishes like credibility that other people are buying it, right?
Right. Yes.
So I think that's some of those shots, because I think it would. There's some of your pieces are still over at what's it, South Shore Medical Center too, right?
South Shore Medical Center, yes. There's a number of pieces in
ones. There. I mean, those ones might be a good one to get on there too, because through social media / website, because I'm sure some people see those, and then if they're not there, they're not images of yours that they're familiar with, because they're your images, they might not realize they're, because your right. signature isn't all that great.
No, well, I've gone to the block lettering initials now.
I feel like it's getting better,
Oh yeah, it was legible now. It looked like a seagull before.
Yeah. I think with me, and you said, what was the teacher of yours that told you?
My grade school teacher, Natalie Loomis, would dear old friend, and she would come into my booth at the North River Arts every year and talk about the work. And every time she left, she'd say, she'd turn to whoever was there and say, I did not teach him to sign his name that way.
Well, I think the signature not being able to read that's tough if somebody's like in somebody else's home and they're looking, or
right. I actually, to tell you the truth, have had people say, I've been looking for you for 20 years. Yeah. We had people at a party. We took it off the wall. We were looking at the back. We didn't know what the name was.
Yeah.
And oh boy, did I screw that one up.
Yeah.
So I've switched over on that. And but back to the South Shore Medical Center, I still get 2 or 3 messages a year from people saying, "Hey, I had a doctor's appointment today. Did you know your work was here?"
Yeah.
And those pieces are interesting because they were all cropped.
Yeah.
Which I'm perfectly happy to do, and they look really great.
Yeah.
And they were able to choose images that cropped well, because not all of them do. And in fact, so that's where my doctor's office is now.
Yeah.
So I see them, a couple of times a year when I go in there.
Yeah, I think those pages would be helpful for you on the site. I haven't explored the new website yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I messed with one print, but I haven't just to see if it was there before, make sure we could talk about it, but I haven't done a deep dive.
The site it's similar to the old site.
Yeah.
But it's a lot graphically, it's a lot nicer. It's a lot more lot easier to look at.
Yeah.
And then the functionality I talked about. I mean, you can shop. You can actually buy directly off the site as well.
It's no longer you have to call Mike.
And and people generally do want to.
Yep.
And that sort of helps things go along. But you can.
Yeah. And if you're decisive and you know what you want,
yes.
You can click a couple buttons and make it happen.
Click a couple of buttons, you can make it happen. And then that's on there.
And then they can reach out to you if they want to
reach out there.
A little bit of a consult. Or look at a couple images in the space.
And some people opt to buy just an unframed print in a tube.
Yep.
And which is great. They order a print and it goes into a tube, and I cover the cost of the shipping. And
yep.
You're in California or something, and you order a print and you have it in 3 days or whatever. So,
yep.
So it looks similar but nicer.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the job you did.
Nice. Yeah, and these images, I'm going to try to find some time to get some more of these back up on the wall at some point in the foreseeable future.
And there's more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, the ever expanding,
Expanding catalog, yes.
Cool. Well, I'm thrilled you came in. I think you're always a an interesting guy to talk to for me, talking about art, and I see the canoe and I see the Fred Rogers house, or Fred Rogers boat.
Yes.
Every morning at my house, till I move them around and shake up things. They're a daily view for me. So I'm a huge fan of your work.
Thank
I
you.
think we featured one of your pieces on the canoe as one of the
Yep.
Frame Center ads.
I got a call about that saying,
Did you
"Hey,
really?
yeah." Someone said, "Hey, is this? Do you know this is out there?" And I said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, that's Dave." But I have to say, on my part,
Yep.
I find it really gratifying that you, with all of this, the volume of artwork that passes before your eyes, that you've got, all my work in your house. So I think that says a lot about my work.
No, I'm a fan of your stuff. I've always been. I try to find a couple images that aren't as common. Although the canoe, I think somebody wanted to make sure we had that one, so
Great,
we have it.
excellent.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Mike. Always, like I said, always enjoy talking to you, and one of a few that have made the repeat visit here on the Inside the Frame podcast, and I'm sure it won't be the last. So.
Excellent. I'm hoping I'm in here before we reach a number 100.
Yeah. We'll see. If not, we'll get you for 103.
Excellent. Perfect. All right.
right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.